Hi and welcome to the channel. Now, the old channel may be struggling finding things to talk about on the channel, as you know. Kind of dropped the iFi now, really. Done all the bits and pieces I can do on iFi, just be going over the same old ground, etc. What's the point of that? There's many videos for you to go and watch if you really want to know my thoughts and bits and pieces about old iFi. So I thought I'd just turn the channel around just a little bit, make them up with a few different ideas. Got a couple in my head, maybe some avenues to go down, and this may lead me down to one of them avenues, actually talking a little bit about maybe taking a chance, gambling, that kind of thing. Something that I don't recommend, do not recommend whatsoever. If you're not a gambler or anything like that, you could lose a fortune. I've seen it done. So if you're not in that way inclined, stay clear of it. You're not missing anything really. But I may go down that line a little bit later on in another video, and this may just tie me in a little bit. Just an idea I'll come up with really to keep me going, keep me entertained, keep the old grey matter going. But I wanted to talk about, as I talk about old iFi, vintage stuff in the 60s, 70s, that kind of thing, something that was around back then that's disappeared now, you don't see it these days, is the football pools. But before we go on to the football pools, this is not going to be a tech moan kind of video. Shame he doesn't do something like this, because he goes right in depth and talks how it originated, who's involved and that kind of thing. I'm not going to do hardly any of that, because I talk a very small amount about it. But we're not going to say come up with this spot the ball idea. I've got no idea, but this was around when the football pools was around as well. So that's why I'm talking about spot the ball just in this first little bit of the video. And you would get this in a local newspaper or a main newspaper. They'll show a picture of a match the previous week. You have to guess where the ball was. You put your cross, and you was allowed to do maybe 20 crosses for £1 or 50 pence, whatever it was back then. And you could do more crosses, you could do hundreds of crosses, and the idea, you look at the match and see where everything is and put your crosses where you think the ball actually is. And to get it right, you'd have to get your cross dead centre of that ball. Wherever the centre of that ball was, your cross had to be dead centre of that ball. It couldn't slightly be out, because that would be a losing ticket. So that's what you had to do. You could go in shops and buy these rubber stamps that had millions of crosses, well, say millions, probably a couple of hundred crosses on there, and that's you buy that for like 50 pence or something, stamp it, and you've got so many entries there, and that would cost you £1. You'll send it off through the post, or you may even have someone come round and collect it, but most often than not you'll send it off through the post, and then the following week they'll print the result. So for instance, here we've got a match here. I've got a picture up on the screen just so you can have a little look yourself. You may want to play along yourself. Not that I know where the ball is, but yeah, come on, you may want to play along anyway, because I haven't got the result of this particular one. But I want to give you an idea of kind of how the result kind of come across most times anyway. So we're looking at this particular match. We've got this bloke here looking forward. We've got this bloke here looking forward. We've got this other bloke here who's looking forward. We've got the goalkeeper with his hands like that. So we're guessing the ball's over here somewhere, heading towards the goal. Here's the net here. He's heading towards the goal. It's on its way here somewhere. So that's where we'll be putting our crosses. And in the following week, the result will come through. So if I just flick through, this is not the actual result, just guessing a bit, but this is a typical kind of result. The ball would be up here somewhere, right stuck up in the corner, nowhere near the action we're thinking about. It'd be stuck up there. And that, when I used to play it and that back then, that's the kind of thing that used to happen. You used to have some mickey taking going on back then, where the goalkeeper would be standing there like that, and you had to spot where the ball was, or he's got his foot raised, and it would be nowhere near there, it'd be halfway down the pitch kind of thing. But you got the general idea. And if you're my kind of age or older or whatever, you know what all this spot the ball was about. I just wanted to bring it back a little bit. I'm not going to get many views on it obviously, but I just wanted to bring it back, just to bring it, highlight it just a little bit, the old days, the good old days, as many people say. So that was spot the ball. So now what we're going to go on is onto the football pools. And before I actually stick a coupon up there, I'm just going to very quickly mention, I've found a few things on Wikipedia that may interest you. This is just vague to a certain extent. It may just put you in the picture a little bit, and you may want to go to Wikipedia. I'll leave a link down below to actually look it up and get some more detail, because it's quite fascinating. It's quite good, how things evolved many years ago. And looking at it, I'm going to look down here. I've not got an OQ, I've just got, very rarely write anything down, but I've got a little thing here. Apparently, it was the football pools really, kind of got going in 1887. One bloke, I think his name was John Barnard, he had a magazine. It was a football and cricket kind of paper magazine kind of thing, and in there he was inviting his readers to correctly predict the results of 4 football matches, and for the winner he would offer them 1 guinea for the winner. And obviously if there's more than one winner, then he'd offer, they have to split that up between the winners. And obviously things start snowballing, but they start off slowly like anything else, a bit like when Sky, Virgin, all them kind of big companies these days are about, they start off with a few customers and it snowballs, takes a while, and obviously gets going. So and people could do as many entries as they wanted to, but they had to send that thing in out that particular paper. So they sold him, if you want to do more entries, you would go out and buy more papers. That sold him more papers. This was in 1887, and by 1910 the prize had amassed to £300. He was selling enough papers, people were having enough entries on these 4 matches for him to offer that bigger prize. Then 3 friends in 1922, 3 friends kind of see this and kind of had a think about it and decided to print their own version of this, i.e. something like the football balls we would see that come about later on, is print their own coupons. And they printed 4,000 of them in 1922 in October and took them to Old Trafford, Man United Old Trafford, and stood outside personally giving out these coupons and trying to get people involved. After everyone went into the match and everything, they actually only sold 35 coupons. I say sold, they give 35 coupons out that they got returned with a stake unit, and that would go into a pool. They would take 10% for themselves for doing it, and the rest would be divided depending how many winners there was. And obviously they wasn't really getting much out of that at the time, and that went on for a couple of years. By 1924 it was still running at a loss really, their time and this, that, and printing the coupons and that, it was still at a loss. And the two of the 3 friends thought they've had enough of this, so they stuck in £200 each to start off with. And by then, 1924-25 season, 2 friends had kind of had enough, and the 3rd friend bought them out. He said, well, I'll give you your £200 back, I'm going to continue with this. And this went on for a little while, and eventually that person who stayed there, who kept on, give the others their £200, actually made £1 million profit out of doing this. And this was Littlewoods. This started with Littlewoods. These 3 friends started the Littlewoods company, as known, Littlewoods Pools. Anyway, after this, it's like snowballed, so I'm not going to go into it all completely, but obviously other companies come on board. We had Zetters here in the UK, Littlewoods and Vernons, and I'm going to show you a typical kind of coupon now on the screen. This is a kind of typical Littlewoods coupon. This is about 1953-54 I think here, and my wife pointed out to me that in the Premiership or First Division back then probably, we've got Portsmouth playing Birmingham. Portsmouth's at home. My wife comes from Portsmouth, so she's quite happy that Portsmouth were in League One there. And what you do, there are other bets on here, but the main prize, the main big prize there, winning the big prize, was getting the 8 draws, 8 score draws, not just 8 draws. You had to have a score draw. You get 3 points for a score draw, i.e. 2-2, 3-3, 1-1, something like that. You get 3 points. If it's a 0-0 draw, you get 2 points. I think if it was an away, you get 1.5, and if it's at home, you'll get 1. So you would mark your selections, and you would have to do 8 of them. It was what they called an 8-fold, or 8 teams. You would select 8 teams. So these would be your 8 teams. You wouldn't have to bet a fortune. I think there was about a penny a line, and I think Vernons was like half a p a line, and Zetters, which was a more smaller prize, you could probably do 20 lines for your penny. And you could do them individually like this. You could go, well, I want to pick my 8 lines. This is on this side, the left-hand side of the screen. I want to pick my 8 draws and just lay out one. I think it was probably a minimum stake, but you could just do maybe 10 lines yourself across in each of the columns and lay out your 10p, picking them individually. But what some people did, they done a perm, which goes over to the right-hand side of this coupon now, where we do, say for instance here, I've just picked out 10. We do 10 selections, and we're going to have any 8 from 10, any of the 8 of them lines from 10. So it doesn't matter, as long as I've got 8 draws there, 8 score draws, don't matter which 8 out of the 10 they are, I'm going to be covered. I've got that line covered. It's a permutation, you're covered. It's a mathematical permutation. And you would write on the side here, per any 8 selections from 10 equals 45 lines at 1p. Now some people used to do any 8 from 11, any 8 from 12. This gets more and more expensive, more and more combinations. Some people would be clever, so this could get complicated, where they would go 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, down until you've got 8 lots of 3, any 1 from 3, so forth. And that would take some working out combination-wise, permutation. It gets quite complicated. I'm just going to show you how we work out here, just for a matter of interest really, how we work out any 8 from 10. Just going to show you that mathematical equation on the screen now. And to do this, it's how many selections. We've got 10 selections and we want any 8 from 10. So the selections is, and how many we want, the actual fold we're going to call it, the actual accumulator, is 8. So we do the 10, so we start counting down. And we do this 8 times because we want 8 out of it. So we go 10 times, 9 times, 8 times, 7 times, 6 times, 5 times, 4 times 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 digits. And we start at 10. And we divide that by the folds, which is 8 in this case, starting off at 1. 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5 times 6 times 7 times 8. And when you do that calculation, it's pretty straightforward to do it in your head as you're talking to me probably. It works out 45 bets. Obviously it is a bit more complicated than that, but it's an easier way of doing this because all we've got to do is cancel out the numbers that appear on the top line and the numbers that appear on the bottom line. So we can put a line through the 8s, we can put a line through the 7s, put a line through the 6, keep putting a line through every number that appears on the top line and bottom line, and we'll end up with 2 numbers. We end up with a 10 and 9 that we can't put a line through, and we end up with a 1 and 2 we can't put a line through. So 10 times 9 is 90, divided by 1 times 2 is 2. 90 divided by 2 equals 45 bets. That's the easiest way of working that out. And there's many other ways, there are many other combinations, like I say, you could do. If that was 11 selections, we could do 11 times 9 times 8 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 4. We stop at 4. And we'll do the same down the bottom, 1 times 2 times 8, etc. I can't remember, I think there's 220 bets in it, I can't remember. I think it seems to kind of come up in my head, 220, I could be wrong. So that's that, and just very, very quickly, you may think, well, how do you know, you're just guessing that. I could be wrong, it may not be 220, but I actually took a course many, many years ago. This is a William Hill settling course, just to mention that. I did take that course, and numbers kind of stick in your head sometimes. So anyway, I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. Anyway, going back to the lottery now, and years ago you used to either post these coupons off, you used to get them, fill them out and post them off, and hopefully they get down the other end, the postman ain't nicked it, all that kind of stuff people used to worry about. Obviously goes on, still goes on today of course, and things go missing, etc. Or you'll get a tally man, someone knock on the door, he'll come round every, I'm not too sure what day it was, maybe a Thursday or something, and he probably post them on a Friday, long as it's got the post date on your letter, or on his letter that he sends a bulk lot off, or on your particular letter, as long as it's got the post date that was before the match, and it arrived maybe where they're going to check it. The house used to have thousands of people working where they used to check it, used to go through them all by hand, because obviously there's no computers about then that would go through them, used to flip through them all by hand and check the results. There is a few documentaries and bits and pieces about that as well available, I've seen. Yeah, so long as your the postmark on your letter, your receipt or whatever, or the envelope that they're going to receive is before the date of the football match, it didn't matter if they received it a day or two later, they knew you put it on time and you would get paid out. And you would have to put a claim in as well. You'd have to, if you've got the 8 draws or 7 draws maybe, and you may get 21 points, there will be a dividend for that. Obviously the top dividend was 24 points, but if you've got 21, i.e. 7 draws, well 21s would be, well you can get 21 I suppose, but let's say 22. You've got 7 draws, 7 times 3, 21, and a home, which will give you 22 points. You'd put in a claim for that as well, so they could find your ticket easier, just in case the person flicking through, settling the, they were called settling or going through, marking your card at that particular office. They get your slip, which would be about the size of this book, and once all the winning teams have come through, they have a special kind of thing that go over the top of your slip, and it'll mark off the winning lines, make it easier for them to see, because obviously trying to find like maybe team 6 has drawn, team 10 has drawn, it would be hard for them to pick it out going across this particular grid. It would get a bit complicated and bit of an optical illusion maybe on your eyes, and you could quite easily miss things. They'd have a grid, a piece of paper, say this was your entry form now, they'd have a thing that go over the top of it, a clear piece that would mark out the winning bit, so it'd be easy for them. But just in case they'd made a mistake there, you could turn around and say that my slip, I think I've got a winner, it was posted so and so, etc., or whatever, and they would hopefully find it. Because obviously you make mistakes. Like I said, I've done this setting course, worked in the bookmakers for 31 years, and if any settler then, or maybe not now because it's all done by computer, but any settler then said he's never made a mistake with his line, because he used to make mistakes pretty much on a daily basis, depending on how many bets you take, how busy you were, etc. Easy enough to make a mistake. The customer should know. Shouldn't be having a bet if you don't know how much you've got to come back. It's just stupidity, really. Have a good idea. There's ways and methods of finding out and working it out to a reasonable amount yourself. So you shouldn't be having a bet if you don't know how much to come back. It's a bit silly, really, because people do make mistakes, obviously, and it's a genuine mistake. They're not on purpose or anything, because you are busy, you're under pressure, and people make mistakes no matter what job they're in. Okay, so that's it. So yeah, the bloke would come round and maybe collect it, and he'll send them all off, and that's something you're not going to see these days. Someone coming round collecting for whatever it is, because more often, especially now, if he was coming around collecting the football balls, by the time he got to the end of the road, all that money would have disappeared. He would have been mugged, and God knows what else. So that's not going to happen these days, but it happened back then. Something you'd wait for the man to knock on the door, and you'll go, oh, it's the balls collector, it's the balls man, and go and give him your money. And hopefully he's not one of these that did happen in the time, that didn't bother posting it off, because the chances of you winning were very remote. If you had a big round, he could probably think, maybe I'm going to keep these tickets, and the chances of one person winning the jackpot is very remote. May get an odd person win an odd tenner here and there with, I don't know, 20 points or something like that. I can quite easily take it out of all the money I've cooped in and pay them out. I'm not saying it happens, but it did happen. If it has come about that these things do happen. So yeah, it's a little bit of, hopefully it's been posted as well, because you won't get paid out, obviously, if he hasn't sent it off. Being a bit negative there, but these things did happen back then. These things did happen. Okay, so something that won't happen today, like I say, just reminiscing. Now, by 1994, here in the UK, the National Lottery was launched, and these football pools, I think, went up to the biggest prize paid out was about £3 million, I think, at one stage. So that was quite a big jackpot when you got the 8 draws there, £3 million. And then the lottery come, and obviously that upped it even more. People went over to the lottery, they kind of fizzled out, the pools kind of fizzled out and declined, starting in about 1994, and by 2007 it had come to a complete decline, really, where the three companies, Zetters here in the UK, Littlewoods and Vernons, all sold to one other company. I can't remember what the company is. It will be on that Wikipedia page, but that was pretty much the end of the football pools here in the UK. Something that's never ever going to get revived again, but would bring up some good memories for people, picking out your teams, which teams you're going to draw, got a good chance of drawing. And going back then, there was no like on your phone getting all the results live as there was happening. You'll be sitting listening to an old radio, maybe an old valve or transistor radio, tuning in at about 5 o'clock, waiting for the polls results to come through. The commentator there, the announcer from there saying, Man United 1, Liverpool 2, and so forth, like going down the complete list. Something like Birmingham City 2, Portsmouth 0, and you'll be waiting for your team. We've got here Everton 2, Bolton 2, and you think, alright, that's handy, tick that one off, and you'll be anticipating as they go down, and all of a sudden the excitement will come through. I remember doing it, and I think I got the first 5 one day. This was years ago now. Then nothing else after that. I got 15 points, but I think, oh my god, you start a little bit of tremble coming in, kind of thing. You're thinking, oh, is this it, kind of thing? And of course, you fizzle out to nothing. But yeah, you'll tick them off, like I say, listening to the radio, or maybe when maybe World of Sport was on here in the UK, old Dickie Davis or something like that, the old telly printer would come out in the background, and you'll be trying to eagerly see what the result was. Oh, you may be passing a TV shop, something like Radio Rentals or something like that. You'll be out and about with the missus doing a bit of shopping, or some people will be coming back from a football match and head down towards the old Radio Rentals shop, where they'd have old Dickie Davis in the window reading out the results on the old telly printer. Great big crowd all gathered round thinking, well, fingers crossed, I may get a few results here. Okay, that's it. That's today's video. And I'll be coming back with something to do maybe with the gambling side of things, something I maybe I'll just come up with that I thought would keep me ticking over kind of thing, keep the old grey matter going. I may do that, just doing a few more experiments, but until then I'll say thanks for watching and I'll see you all soon.